Survive Podcast 182. My name is Robocop.
Joining me as ever is Chris Morris. Hello.
Who is he? What is he? Where does he come from? That's my question for you, Joe.
Who do you mean?
Robocop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what they say on the news broadcast announcing him,
yeah.
announcing his arrival.
Yeah. It's good.
Yep.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
This is the How to Survive podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined by Chris Morris, as ever. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
My name is Joe.
Yeah.
The movie this week is Robocop from 1987, directed by Paul Verhoeven. Not long off the show. We did Starship Troopers recently.
Yep. We did.
And he's back already.
Yeah, another satire, another military satire.
This kicks off body horror, science, technology, transhumanism season.
Yeah. Catchy title.
Yeah, on the podcast. Next week's, what's it called? Upgrade?
Upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's good when you can't remember the name of a film.
Yes.
You're covering it. You've curated it so delicately, you cannot remember the name of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember this week's film, which is Robocop.
Yeah.
We will be talking about it at length, coming to understand what Robocop is. Where did he come from?
Yeah.
Who is he? What is he? And we'll talk about how we would survive if we were unfortunate enough to find ourselves murdered and then put back together as a robot.
Yeah.
There will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen Robocop, you've had 32 years to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps now's the time. It's on Netflix for free.
Yeah, in the UK. Well, not for free. As part of your subscription if you have Netflix.
Unless you're on some like other person's Netflix, in which case it is for free.
That is true.
Are you on someone else's?
No.
Do you have anyone else on yours?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Fine.
It's good, isn't it? Do you feel like it?
The only
power?
people on mine are my parents who I don't think use it or understand it. They haven't got their heads around streaming yet.
Yeah.
Every time they stream anything on Netflix, my dad phones me up to like check that I haven't been billed for it.
You should say yeah. Send an invoice. My grandfather started using mine, but he doesn't understand. He has to log into his own profile, so it's like I log in and it's like continue watching, and it's just
Robocop over and over again.
It's the weirdest stuff. It's like Dirty Grandpa, which is like understandable because he's a grandpa.
Is he dirty?
Yeah, why not? Robocop. Coming up after this.
We get the best of both worlds. The fastest reflexes modern technology has to offer, onboard computer-assisted memory, and a lifetime of on-the-street law enforcement programming. It is my great pleasure to present to you Robocop.
This guy is really good.
He's not a guy, he's a machine.
Old Detroit has a cancer. Cancer is crime.
Let the woman go. You are under arrest.
You better back up, pal!
Your move, creep.
What are your prime directives?
You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney.
What is this shit?
Anything you say may be used against you.
He's a cyborg, you idiot. He recorded every word you said.
You're dead. We killed you.
His memory's admissible as evidence. You're gonna have to kill it. Get in the car, for God's sake!
Robocop, the future of law enforcement.
It's the future, and multinational corporation OCP has just signed a contract with the Detroit Police Department, allowing them to test out new technology. Their first experiment is to place a robot on the street to prevent crime, but the prototype goes wrong, killing a board member. Meanwhile, police officer Alex Murphy has just joined the DPD, and on his first call-out, an arrest goes wrong, and he's brutalized and left for dead by the notorious criminal Clarence Bedecker. OCP recovers Alex's body and saves his life, upgrading his body and replacing it with military-level technology and weapons. They christen him Robocop, and he goes out on patrol saving the day all over the city. The police are impressed and depressed, assuming that they will be replaced by technology. All except for Murphy's former partner, Officer Lewis, who tries to remind him who he really is. You see, his memories were wiped during the upgrade.
Mm.
Gradually, some things begin to trigger memories, and Robocop carries out some research, learning about the gang that killed him and of his true identity. He visits his family home, but is sad to find his wife and son have left.
Mm-hmm.
He confides in Lewis that he has a vague feeling about his family, but no strong memories. Meanwhile, the inner politics of OCP are becoming an issue. The Robocop project was presented by a low-level executive, much to the chagrin of Vice President Dick Jones, who's a bit of a power-mad limelight stealer.
Mm.
He arranges for the executive to be murdered in his home by none other than Clarence Bedecker.
Yeah.
Based on the city's treatment of police, the force go on strike, leading to mayhem around the city. Dick Jones, the vice president, orders Clarence Bedecker to find and kill Robocop. And in a showdown in a junkyard, Bedecker and his men are all killed by Robocop and Lewis.
Yep.
Robocop heads to OCP headquarters to settle the final score, but finds himself unable to kill Dick Jones. It seems he was programmed to be unable to kill any OCP senior staff to protect them against exactly this from happening.
Yeah.
Which is fine until Dick Jones is fired by the CEO, leaving him as not a staff member and allowing Robocop to shoot him out the window.
Yes.
As Robocop walks away, the CEO asks him, "Nice shooting, kid. Who are you?" And he says, "Murphy."
Yeah.
And that's it.
And then
That's Robocop.
and then it comes up with Robocop.
Yeah. All the Avengers movies end with like, "Who are we?"
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Avengers. And this ends with, "Who are we? Murphy, Robocop."
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah.
That's just a little aside about Avengers for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Robocop?
It's, I think, a really enjoyable satire, much in the same vein as Starship Troopers. I think that element of the film is never better than in the pastiche of news programming.
Yeah, which was the same in Starship Troopers as well.
Yeah, I'd watch a Paul Verhoeven series that tells the whole story just through
News.
Yeah, because he's got a fantastic wit for writing those sort of double speak news reports.
Yeah, like it opens with them basically talking about poverty around America and then talking about injured policemen in a way that's kind of like builds them up to be superheroes. Like the way you might talk about an injured war vet.
Well, no, yeah, I think you're right, but it's that sort of nationalistic. Giving your life for the cause is the most.
And they're like grinning when they're talking about how they got injured. It's
and then it's like, meanwhile in India, there's like a nuclear crisis. Yeah, and then let's cut to an ad break, which is advertising a nuclear themed board game.
Yeah, that's what I liked. Mexico is at war.
Yeah,
and America's going to go in and save them and stuff.
Yeah, but it all has this certain tone to it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it. That's all fantastic. Robocop himself is a bit of a weird protagonist.
Yeah.
Because the whole plot line of him remembering his identity essentially has zero payoff, aside from informing the final line of the movie that we've discussed.
So, what I want to talk about is stakes in the film, and I guess we're getting into it.
Okay,
a little earlier, but that's fine, mate. If you want to just throw my plan out the window, that's all right.
No, it's fine. You carry on.
I mean, the film, like you say, does extremely little to show that Alex is still Alex. In fact, it goes the other way and says that he's not.
Yeah.
We see him having his memory wiped, and that he's just a body with a machine around it, right?
Yeah.
Like, he learns about his past life in the same way we do, which is through heavy-handed flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And although we have clear footage of that, he says, "I only have a feeling. I don't have the memory. I only have a feeling."
Yeah.
So he's not Alex. And the last line of the film, where he says, "My name's Murphy," or whatever, it may suggest that he is realizing he is Alex Murphy, But it's not exactly clear that that's the case either, because he, seconds before that, was still a slave to his programming.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, you're essentially just watching a robot with a man's face shoot other robots. And that's less compelling than the movie, I think, hopes it is.
Yeah, he's very, the whole sort of boundaries of the human versus machine thing are very like strangely drawn out, because there's a whole passage of the film where you see the scientists working on Robocop from Robocop's vision, and they're saying things like, "Oh, we managed to save his arm," and the leader of the project is like, "Oh, why save the arm? Like, get rid of it." And it's like, why would you save the arm anyway? Why would you save his face? So why would you save any part of him?
I could answer the face part. I think it was one of the writers said this in a panel somewhere or something, like over the years.
Right.
That it's because they didn't want him to be so scared at looking at himself in the mirror that about what he'd become. So they put his face on him.
Right.
But it's like, come on.
It's just like it's been stapled on.
Yeah.
And why combine human and machine in the first place? I'm going to get into this a bit later. But also Murphy is pretty unlikable, I thought, in the first scenes where you see him. I didn't like him as a character, because his attitude, especially towards his partner,
who is a woman,
is inherently sexist.
Yeah.
And borders on insubordination, because it's his first day and he's insisting that he's the one who's going to drive.
Yeah, right.
And he's like spinning his gun round his finger and all this sort of thing. He's basically an arrogant arsehole.
Yeah.
And he gets blown to bits.
Yeah. And you were like enjoying that part. You were like, yes,
I was going, shoot him again. This is great work from the main character of the film, Bedecker. Yeah, like, I don't know. It's that whole mutilation scene is pretty iconic.
Yeah. I think that I hadn't seen Robocop until we watched it for this purpose. But I know that scene because in the Family Guy Star Wars, I think it's that they cut away and say like, oh, his, like, everyone, like, we were all safe except for Alex
Murphy
from the opening scene of Robocop,
right? And
then it cuts to him just being like annihilated by stormtroopers,
right?
In the same way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just don't think that I don't think there are any stakes to begin with.
No.
In answer to your question, really, because I mean, I guess I'm watching this with 30 years of cultural context.
Yeah.
And obviously I know that he's going to become Robocop.
Yeah.
And like you, I'd seen that scene before. I'd seen parodies of that scene before. So there's no tension in the sense of, you know, will Murphy get out of it? And will he...
Well, as soon as they're like, we need a body to put in it, you're like, right.
Right, well, yeah,
I know who's
exactly.
going to be. The next person you show is going to be the guy.
But the result of that is that for the viewer now, because this is the first time I'd seen it as well, for the viewer now, there's nothing in the way of tension in that respect.
But there's no other tense parts of the film either.
No, I agree. Yeah.
They're just there's no characters. It's just,
and also there's never really a sense until some like masonry gets dropped on him.
Yeah,
there's never any sense that Robocop can sort of meaningfully be injured anyway.
It's bulletproof.
Yeah. He even gets like shot to ribbons by a walking tank and just sort of clumsily gets back up.
Yeah,
like he never looks more like he never looks more like a man in a suit than when it's like a wide shot and he's doing his like comical robot walk. Like, why did they do that? Like if you got rid of the, because this, for anyone who hasn't seen it, Peter Weller, who's the actor, he is just wearing a suit and he's walking in what I would describe as how the Tin Man would walk in a pantomime. Like it's the robot arms, and then he's like his head turns before his body does.
But
and
I like it. It's well done for what it is.
Right. Here's why it's silly though.
Yeah.
Imagine what it would look like if you took away the sound effects of his joints moving.
Yeah.
Which are obviously added in post.
Yeah.
So if you took away their like noises, it's just Peter Weller going
doing the robot.
Yeah. Like imagine that on set. It's so absurd, but then like it is, you know, it is a ludicrous film anyway.
Yeah, it's cartoony, I think, in its violence and in every part of it. And it's very over the top, but I think like all great science fiction, it speaks to timeless anxieties and cultural fears that we all share. And this is, to its credit.
So you're saying it's the best Black Mirror episode you've ever seen?
It's not far off that. At times it reminded me of iRobot, and I mean the Asimov original.
He is a robot.
Yeah. Oh no, a robot. It reminded me of a robot.
He reminded me of a robot.
Yeah. Isaac Asimov's book, iRobot, which I read in preparation for when we covered iRobot. Go back and listen to that if you haven't already.
Yeah. If you've got a spare 3 hours.
Yeah. It was a long one. But it's all about like the rules of robotics and stuff. And as soon as he's got directives, I was like, oh, they're going to do something interesting with that. Yeah. And they did sort of, except it's obvious what it was going to be.
Yeah, I get that is still interesting though, even though it's obvious. Like I like sort of nefarious, programming the hero so he can't save the day, sort of stuff.
But in iRobot, it's usually like there's a robot's run too close to a volcano on a rescue mission,
right?
And its self-protection and rescue operations are in turmoil, and it's malfunctioning.
Yeah,
right. And you need to fix it to save the day.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
In Robocop, it's his blow people to smithereens directive is in contrast with his and don't kill my corporate overlords.
And rather than saving someone from a volcano eruption or whatever, he's shooting the vice president of a shady corporation.
Yeah, but then I think the reason that works is that it feeds back into the satirical elements of the film. Yeah. So it's very anti-capitalist.
Very.
And that twist of him being unable to, like capitalism is to some extent about very wealthy people insulating themselves from dangers of the world or risks of the world, and that's essentially what they're doing, isn't it? So,
yeah, that's true. It's a bit body horror.
Yeah.
Although in that aspect, I think it has more in common with Get Out than The Fly.
Okay.
The Fly being the one where Jeff Goldblum turns himself into a fly very slowly.
Yeah.
And Get Out being the one where
he can't get out.
Yeah, exactly. They want to put brain in him that isn't his. Well, I mean, we'll come to the body horror stuff very shortly, but I liked one thing I liked about the film, and I think my favourite bit is that some of the scenes that Robocop is in involve like an existing situation happening, and then he just like the best one is when they've got like the senator or whatever's gone mad, or the mayoral candidate or whatever. He's like holding up the building,
and Robocop just like walks through the wall.
He drives up. First of all, they got like a perimeter, and he just drives through the tape.
Yeah,
parks in front of like the city hall, and they're all like, and just walks through the cordon, and no one stops him.
Yeah,
and he's completely oblivious to everything around him. And then just punches through the wall. Like
it's a bit like something that you'd see in The Naked Gun or something.
Exactly,
it's
exactly what I was going to say.
Like it would be like Leslie Nielsen going, "Oh, they've got the new RoboCop 3000," and it's just like a man in a bad suit, like doing stupid stuff. And Leslie Nielsen goes like,
So body horror.
Yeah.
Is it the most upsetting body horror we've covered?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. Thank you. This has been the Hand As Well podcast.
The most upsetting one that we've covered by some way is the one that you've already referenced, which is The Fly. Because Robocop doesn't end with him becoming more and more like a robot until he goes insane and begs for death at the hand of the woman he loves, who is pregnant with his possibly half-robot offspring.
True. True. I think, though, that the fly is a disease, isn't it? Is an allegory for a wasting disease.
Yeah.
Which is sad, don't get me wrong. But this is a little less... I don't know, it's like you've been made into a product. Like someone's using your body for profit against your will, and you're a passenger in that.
Well, it's not exactly against his will, is it? Because he is enabling him to become a better cop than he ever was.
But he doesn't have a say in it.
No. But I mean, like, I don't think there's a great deal of emotional weight to Murphy's character at all.
Right.
And like you don't even see his wife or his family until after he's already been turned into a robot.
Yeah, and that's in flashback.
Yeah, so they feel like a really cheap, like bolted on element to add weight to a story, which it's like they got to that point in the script and was like, why should they care about a robot policeman?
Yeah.
Why should they? How can we make the story of the robot policeman sad?
He can't remember his family.
Oh, we forgot to introduce his family.
We also forgot to dress the set where he lived. So
Yeah.
just put a TV in it and that's it.
And also, like, he asks Lewis, like, what happened to my wife and child? And she's like, oh, they moved on. And it's like, oh, hang on, how long has it been?
Well,
I
we
guess
know-
it's been some months.
Well, New
right?
Year passed when they were doing the experiment on him because
But he also says that they could be operational in 6 weeks in the meeting because they have to get it done within 3 months or something so that they can
Right, because
raise
it's
the slums and build a new city, right?
yeah.
How long is your wife and child, like, before they, not only like, oh, we'll move out the house to help the grieving process, but it's like they wanted to like start a new life
Instantly,
somewhere. Yeah. Like, it's bizarre. I mean, maybe if your husband gets shot to bits, that would be an
Maybe he was
intensely
the
traumatic.
only breadwinner and they couldn't afford the mortgage or whatever.
But quite possibly. Does he have a police pension of any kind, do you think?
But no, he's not dead. So not legally dead.
Well, he is legally dead, though, isn't he? Because they're not advertising that
A man was saved.
He's not coming back as Murphy. They're not going like, oh yeah, he's he's just resting. He's just recuperating.
Why do they need a policeman? Why didn't they just...
Mate, why don't it doesn't make any sense, right? They've got robots.
Just make better robots.
And it's not like they're like, oh, we've got this microchip, but the smallest form factor we can fit it into
The human
is
brain.
this huge like hulking Titan thing
Right.
with 2 guns for arms. If only we could just plug this into someone's brain port, right? It's not like that. Because all that's left of him is his brain stem and his face anyway.
Yeah.
So just, you don't even need that.
You certainly don't need him. Just go to anywhere and take any one. There'd be people who'd be signing up for it. People would enjoy it.
Yeah, probably.
Some weirdos. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Body horror, right?
Yeah.
I think it works best when it's mixed in with a second type of horror. It tells a wider story, right?
Okay.
So, take Get Out. There's the social horror of racism at play.
Yeah.
And that it builds up over a long time through the movie before you realise what's really going on.
Mhm.
And by that time, you're incredibly uncomfortable because of the racism.
Yeah.
Robocop, it's the other horror is the capitalist hellscape that the movie paints.
Yeah.
The Fly, like we said, is kind of an allegory for, I think it was AIDS or...
Yeah. I mean, I think when we covered it, it was never intended necessarily to be that, was it? David Cronenberg said that it wasn't, and I think a lot of people read that it was that, but it's not necessarily the director's intention. But you certainly could read it as that, I suppose. Although it would be a very unflattering view of people who suffer from HIV.
It would. They gradually turn into a fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be pretty... I don't think you would get that...
It's not NHS.
Get that past today, would you?
It's not within nice guidelines.
No.
The Santa Claus.
Yeah.
The other horror is guilt over accidental murder.
Yeah.
Suppose
The horror is in watching the Santa Claus in a lot of ways.
Yeah. We talked about stakes,
Yeah.
but how about themes? Themes, Chris. What themes did you see at play here?
Well, obviously the militarization of the police force.
Yeah. So, like, it's not entirely insane because I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds true. Certain departments of police or certain like states or whatever require that you spend all the money you're allocated or you don't get the same funding the following year.
Yeah, so you have to prove that you're using your budget.
Yeah.
And so I think it is documented that I think it's specifically American police forces, because this is a very American thing to occur.
Yeah.
Like they've essentially bought tanks and things like that because...
Harrier jets and stuff.
Yeah, because they don't want to lose their budget. which is absurd, obviously. Like, no police force should have access to that sort of hardware. And that is essentially what they're doing.
Mhm.
But obviously, what's actually happening is corporate greed and privatization.
Yeah, that's right.
In the sense that OCP is the one who are ultimately in control, because the police force, the arming and the operation of the police force has been outsourced to a corporate company with its own interests.
Yeah,
Which is how you end up with a situation where a police officer is like literally unable to take action against someone who works for OCP.
Yeah, because they've bought their way. They've bought the police, essentially.
Yeah,
they own the police.
They literally built the police.
Yeah. I mean, the capitalist control of everything thing is not as far off as you think, Chris. Think about Google.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what they own.
Yeah.
Right? They own the search engine. You have an Android phone, I see.
Mm-hmm.
So they know everything about what you search, everything about what you do on your phone.
Yeah.
Google Maps, use that?
I have done.
So they know where you are, where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
They
Only if you have location turned on.
If you use the search in the thing, then it will know.
I'll just I'll say I'm walking to Zimbabwe. That will keep them busy for like 6 months.
You heard of Waze?
Yeah.
The traffic app, they own that, so they know all the traffic stuff in the world.
Yeah.
Google Home.
Yeah.
Got that, so they can listen to everything you do when you're in your house.
I don't have one. You do.
True.
Yeah.
I like Google though. I'm a big fan of their work.
Yeah. If Google are listening.
Yeah, exactly. They own a thing called Project Loon, is the thing they're working on, which is a way of bringing 3G minimum connectivity to all parts of the world through drones,
right,
or balloons, which means that every single person on Earth can get connected to their network through a Google thing, which means they can control all internet connections for every person on Earth, in theory.
Sure.
Which is pretty crazy.
It's fine. That sounds absolutely fine.
That is good stuff. If you live in certain parts of the world, like San Francisco, the Google Fiber, which is free home broadband supplied by Google. Of course, that means they monitor everything that happens on it.
Yeah.
Google Play, so all of your internet entertainment activities. YouTube, so all the videos you watch.
The thing is, like, I know this is all very frightening.
But there's more. They have a lot of transhumanism stuff. That's the big thing that Sergey Brin and Larry Page, they don't want to die. So this is kind of what they're looking at.
Okay.
I don't know how much they talk about it a lot, but I don't know what they've looked into. But they own Deep Brain, which is the AI technology that backs Google Home and stuff like that.
Right.
Machine learning technology, essentially, which is pretty nutty. And they own, I can't remember what it's called now, Skybox or something like that, which is a satellite technology, which means they can track everything that happens through satellites. So they can monitor ports and stuff and crop growth, which means that they know where to invest the money. So they know that there's going to be a big yield of corn this year, so they can get ahead of that. It's just pretty upsetting.
But then it's we've all made this Faustian pact by living in an age where you want to have a smartphone and you want to download podcasts and use your laptop and watch videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. So it's all part, whether you realize it or not, you're entering into a sort of contract with them by using their products. And just because they're free, notionally free, like, doesn't mean that you don't, it doesn't mean that you're not, subject to giving them something in return.
Well, if something's free, you're the product, as the old saying goes.
Right.
So there you go. Our listeners are the product here. And we're going to sell their data to we're going to sell our one listener's data to the Tory party.
Yeah.
To tell them exactly where
it's all about the independent group now, mate.
Yeah, that's who you're voting for, is it?
Straight down the middle. That's me.
Listen, there's more themes at play in this movie, such as transhumanism. And the question
do you want to explain transhumanism? You've mentioned it a lot.
Right, and it's not to be confused with being transgender.
Of course, yeah.
Transhumanism is adapting your biological genetic given traits with technology,
Okay.
with the ultimate goal being to transcend being human. So let's say you were able to upload your consciousness to a hard drive, and that the essence in that hard drive is still you. You are no longer human, but you still exist. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of media about this. There's lots of art based on this.
Yeah.
But that's, to a certain extent, if you, prosthetics, if you were to cut off your arm and replace it with a better arm,
Yeah.
that would be the goal of transhumanism, would be to improve the traits that you're given,
Right.
take out the weaknesses that, humans have, and replace it with stronger, better functioning equipment.
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, the question is, would you replace your legs with legs that allowed you to run exceptionally fast, 60 miles an hour?
Sure.
Would you?
I don't know. Are they free, but I have to...
Yeah, exactly.
Every time I want to walk anywhere, I have to sit through 30 seconds of adverts.
Exactly. But with all that, with those adaptations happening,
Yeah.
the question in a lot of these kinds of media is, at what point does somebody stop being human? And that's the center. The question at the center of this movie is like, he's gone through all this. There's some essence of what he used to be, but is he still human?
Yeah.
Or is he robot?
Mm.
How much is Robo and how much is Cop?
Mate, the film is called Robocop. It's
Yeah.
not called Human Cop, is it?
That's true.
Well, I would watch that.
Human Cop.
Human Cop.
Yeah.
It ends after 15 minutes. The film just ends.
He gets blown up and then that's it. Yeah. Bleeds out.
Yeah.
There's Christian iconography. Don't know if you noticed that.
Okay.
Did you?
No?
So this is according to Verhoeven himself, who says that Murphy's story is the story of Jesus Christ.
Right.
He's crucified.
Yeah.
He returns. And then at the end...
Seeks terrible vengeance.
At the end of the still meal, he walks through ankle-deep water, which is him walking on water.
Right. Uh-huh.
This isn't me making
No,
a weird reading.
I
This
know,
is the director of the movie saying this.
Yeah.
So there you go.
The mind that brought you Nukem, the board game.
There's also a lot to be said about being undead, right?
Uh-huh.
And I read a quote about the movie from Zizek, the philosopher.
Slavoj Zizek,
Yeah.
whatever his name is.
I read it. He's got that lisp that, have you ever listened to his stuff?
What, he sounds like he's got the wettest mouth in the
Yeah,
world.
exactly, yeah. Which is, it's unfortunate.
It sounds like Daffy Duck.
It does. The man has a speech disorder.
Yeah, he's also a bit of a...
Is he a right winger, is he?
Yeah, I think so.
So you like him?
But he's like absolutely not.
Not right wing enough for you. Right, Zizek says, Robocop, a futuristic story about a policeman shot to death and then revived after all parts of his body had been replaced by artificial substitutes, introduces a more tragic note. The hero who finds himself literally between two deaths, clinically dead, and at the same time provided with a new mechanical body. He starts to remember fragments of his previous human life and thus undergoes a process of resubjectification, changing gradually back from pure incarnated drive to a being of desire. If there is a phenomenon that fully deserves to be called the fundamental fantasy of contemporary mass culture, it is this fantasy of the return of the living dead, the fantasy of a person who does not want to stay dead, but returns again and again to pose a threat to the living. So, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but it made me think of Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
And how, the zombies in that are, mindless consumers.
Yeah.
And how, essentially, that's kind of what's happened here. Is you don't get a say in it because the corporations run everything.
Yeah.
And you're, just a mindless person who's part of this system.
Yeah, well, he is mindless in the same way that he is like a slave to sort of a directive in the way that a zombie is, right?
Yeah.
Because their primary directive is to eat.
Yeah, and in Dawn of the Dead, the zombies there are an allegory for mindless consumerism.
Right, yeah. So I guess that's an apt comparison, yeah.
Yeah, well done for me.
Well, the last thing that I noted as well was, again, ties into the sort of capitalism themes that are at play, and that's the disposability of workers, especially the office worker who gets shot to ribbons by the ED-209, is it, or whatever?
Well, yeah.
Because it's like you then get the news report of, rumours of an accident at the OCP headquarters,
Yeah.
and like it's all covered up and everything, and no one is shown any compassion. No one's life is shown any compassion.
No. Not one person.
Not one, like not even Robocop. Obviously, is the Murphy's life is incidental to the his use as an asset for a company.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's Is that how you feel when you go to work?
That's how I feel when I do this podcast. Yeah.
Who's the boss that runs this?
I think it's you, because try as I might, I can't arrest you.
Every time you try and kill me, you just fall over.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is a movie about a man who gradually becomes more like a machine to the point where it becomes a little bit blurred.
Sure.
But how much do you know about people gradually turning into machines in ways in which it becomes a little bit blurred? In my people gradually turning into machines in ways that become blurred quiz. So I'm going to describe a movie about people turning into machines.
Gradually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it becoming a little bit blurred.
Uh-huh.
And you tell me the name of the film.
Sure.
Question 1. When a doctor tries to create a machine with sentience, he is killed by extremists, and his consciousness is uploaded to the machine.
Is that Chappie? No.
No, sir.
I presume Chappie is going to feature at some point, though. It rings a bell. Is it something that we've covered?
No.
Is it something that I'd have seen?
Doubtful. But you'll know it.
Right. I see. Bicentennial Man?
No, it's Transcendence.
Transcendence, of course, yeah. Directed by Wally Pfister, who's the revered cinematographer. Starring my favourite Johnny Depp, is what you were going to say.
Yeah, your mate.
Yeah.
Your best friend.
Yeah. Good.
Question 2.
Put him in everything, mate. That's what I think.
Put him in a machine.
Yeah.
Or question 2. When a woman is forced to be a drug mule, the drug implanted in her body leaks, giving her superhuman powers, including telekinesis and telepathy.
Is it Lucy?
Yes.
Yes. The Luc Besson movie.
Yeah.
Which is apparently completely mental. I haven't seen it.
Question 3. A man has knowledge of martial arts loaded into his brain through a computer program and fights against computer viruses in a simulated world.
This would be The Matrix.
Yes. Correct. The Matrix from 1999.
Yeah.
Question 4. A robot experiences human emotions and gradually goes through changes to make himself more human, including the ability to age. The movie shows his fight for recognition as a human being.
Is that Bicentennial Man?
Yes, it is.
Right. There you go. Robin Williams. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
It's meant to be shit, but I remember seeing it and it being alright.
There you go.
Question 5. People are left with no memories or identity when the chips storing their thoughts and memories are corrupted by an unseen attacker. A technologically improved detective must solve the case.
Surrogates?
No.
Ghost
in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, right, yeah. I've never seen it.
Haven't lived.
Surrogates coming up.
Question 6. A mercenary must get a cyborg who may hold the cure to a terrible plague across America, keeping her safe from a warlord who is intent on upholding chaos.
Okay, no. How recent is it?
80, maybe 87, around there.
Cyborg across America. I don't know.
Cyborg.
Great. Okay.
That's it.
That's
So,
it. There you go.
4 out of 6.
That's all right. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So with all that said,
Yes.
How on earth would you survive if you were shot to death, but then resurrected and made into a robot?
Sure. Okay, my first piece of advice is for the person robbing the gas station midway through the film.
Yep.
You are an expert in martial arts, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to say so, but just look at the number of
Yeah.
people I've
Martial
murdered
arted.
in the ring.
Yeah.
Is it murder if you die in ritualized combat?
Probably not.
In that case,
Manslaughter.
Well, no, not necessarily.
I don't know.
I don't
Well, it
know.
depends. It depends, doesn't it? If you're doing like Olympic wrestling and you repeatedly punch someone in the face until their skull collapses.
Right, that would be illegal.
Yeah.
But if,
you'd still
if,
be
if, you
in the...
if you punch someone in the ring in boxing and kill them,
Right. I
you
don't
don't
believe
get
it's a
charged.
crime, no. Unless you do it in a way that is intended to bring harm to them.
That's
It's
it's
like-
boxing.
No, but it's like, in a way that's,
Illegal.
yeah, like more
Punch in the
reckless.
back of the head or something.
Right. Or like $1 Million Baby style. Whatever.
Right, between rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you do it. Yeah. So you're saying as long as if it happens outside of the rules.
This is a tangent to my
this
incredibly
is-
important survival idea.
Okay. To answer your question, no, I haven't murdered anyone in the ring.
No, that wasn't my question. That was the question you posed yourself.
Wait, what?
My question was, are you a martial arts expert?
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's say in the MMA ring, you are up against a man that is made entirely of metal.
Right. Not entirely. I mean, he's got a face.
Right, okay. Fine. Are you or are you not going to go for a low blow?
I'm not,
And why?
because he's made of metal.
Correct, right? This is so Robocop steps into the ring, which in this instance is a police station.
Yeah.
You empty your machine gun at him,
Yeah.
and he's impervious to it. And so you think, well, the machine gun didn't leave
quite
a
did the job.
scratch.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is kick him in the groin and hope that brings down Robocop. It doesn't bring down Robocop. What it does is hurts his foot quite badly.
Yeah.
And basically, if you try and kick something that's made out of metal, you're a maniac.
Yeah.
And you deserve what's coming to you.
What comes to him?
He gets thrown through a fridge freezer, I believe. And then Robocop says, "Thank you for your cooperation," and walks out.
Yeah. How did you find the dialogue? Because he doesn't have any lines other than like, "This is you're under arrest.
I am a robot.
Stop resisting."
Yeah.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah. Apparently, in the novelization, he has a lot more lines where he's like, "What am I?" and stuff.
Let me discuss what it means to be a robot.
The lines are blurred between whether I'm a human or a robot.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So you're saying don't kick the robot man.
You wouldn't punch and kick an iron girder, would you? Or anything that's made out of metal?
Unlikely.
Yeah.
Depends.
You
on the
wouldn't try.
situation.
If you had to destroy a car, you wouldn't try and do that with your feet, with your legs and arms.
For money, I might. If you
If you're like in Street Fighter,
Yeah.
where there's that
between
minigame.
loading screens,
Yeah, but this isn't. What is it? Well, I guess in a sense it's for money because he's trying to rob the petrol station.
This isn't the petrol. This is the convenience store.
Right.
The petrol station was the chap who was like, "I killed you one
Emil
time."
or whatever his
Yeah,
name is. Yeah. You are right. Yeah, sorry, it's a convenience store. It could be a convenience store in a gas station. Much
True.
defense. Yeah. So basically, don't try and kick a man that's made out of metal.
Or is he a man? Don't kick a robot.
Don't kick anything that's made out of metal.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Identity politics aside.
Yeah, free one for you here. Just go for the face. No one does that in the whole movie.
No. Shoot his face.
Shoot in the face.
Although, if there's just like a panel of metal behind it,
their face would rip off, and still like at least you'd then know
know what? That there is a panel.
that there's no point. in
Right. But if you were rebuilding a man,
it. Yeah.
but for some reason you had to have a face on him,
Yeah.
you wouldn't let the face be. If you were trying to murder someone in a succinct manner, you would shoot them in the face because it's the gateway to the brain.
Yeah.
Right, that's not necessarily the case with Robocop.
Where is his brain?
Well, it might be in his head, but it might not be a gateway to his brain because there's a giant, 6-inch piece of metal between it.
What does he run on? Baby food.
Yeah. Is that vegan?
Depends what's in it.
I'm asking you, is it vegan?
How many babies?
Any ideas from you? What do you think of kicking? What do you think of my advice?
It's fine. He ends up getting put through a fridge freezer, so I can't really argue with you.
Yeah. Comply.
Comply or die. It's never a racehorse that won the Grand National.
There you go. Do you think it's based on Robocop?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, fair point. I give that a 10.
Thanks.
Because you're not going to come. I mean, if your intention is to survive, it doesn't kill you instantly, but it doesn't do any good.
No.
But then it wouldn't anger Robocop, you'd think, because he's not going to be like, "Ow, I'm really mad now."
Yeah.
He's just going to continue doing exactly what he was doing before.
That's true. Yeah. Any ideas?
Yeah, it's a tip for Alex
Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before he goes into the suit. Shoot first.
Okay. Is that the operating guidelines of a police officer?
Yeah, why not? He's in a massive warehouse full of people with guns.
Yeah, but he gets surrounded, doesn't he? So he's. I mean, either way, he's going to end up being shot to ribbons, isn't he?
Exactly.
It's not going to help him survive, is it?
Take some with
murdering. It's still not going to help him survive. I guess it might help other people survive because there's one more criminal off the street.
He does survive there.
Does he, Joe? That's really the question posed by the film. In many ways, he's between two deaths, and I've always said that.
A clinical one and a unspecified second one.
Yeah. So this is in the context of him holding a meal at gunpoint.
Yeah, when he's watching. I'd buy that for $1.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, how does that play out in your head, though?
Shoot them in the head.
Yeah.
Then
and then worry about other targets.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he'd get out of there alive?
He doesn't anyway. Doesn't matter. At least take your chance.
But this is called How to Survive.
Well, he gets shot in the head after having all of his limbs blown off with a shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could he have avoided that by shooting some other people? Possibly. Because Lewis would have come over and started shooting as well.
Yeah.
Because she's like hiding in the shadows, doing nothing.
Well, she gets
like a coward.
thrown down a.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah.
Oh, I was unconscious. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Typical. Yeah. Second tip from me is a sort of health and safety based one.
Okay.
You remember the scene where Lewis is in the firing range, as are a number of police officers.
Yeah.
And Robocop is there
with the semi-automatic pistol.
Yeah, just like cutting the target to ribbons because he's so accurate. What does Lewis do?
Leans over the barrier.
What does she also do? What piece of equipment does she remove?
Goggles?
Yes. No. Never, ever take your goggles off in a firing range.
Yeah. Been to a lot of firing ranges?
No, but I don't need to in order to know that piece of information.
Right.
It's such a basic health and safety rule, right? You could easily have an eye out with a ricochet. People get like lifetime bans from firing ranges for fucking about them, taking off goggles, taking off safety equipment, pointing guns at themselves in a sort of jokey way to take a selfie or whatever. Things like that. We've all seen the viral videos. People shooting their own hands off and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
There are rules like that for a reason, and the gun that the Robocop is firing is like a 3-round burst gun.
Yeah. And
like those bullets could go anywhere. Like they could bounce off a wall, they could bounce off stuff, and a fragment of them, even a fragment of concrete or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the firing range is made out of, could just end up in someone's eye, and then that's that. You're blind. And then if you're a police officer out in the field, the last thing you want is to be
blind.
Blind. Yeah. Exactly. It's a terrible bit of advice. And like you say as well, don't lean over the edge. There are these rules in place for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay? You're handling dangerous weaponry.
Lethal. It literally is.
Literally
it's designed
lethal
to
weapon.
kill.
Yeah. Just come on. Take a little bit of just
Listen, you can't hide behind the "I was unconscious" excuse this time either.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I fell down a well next to the firing range. And then I got my eyes shot out.
Yeah. All right. So Officer Lewis wear goggles.
Yeah. Just wear them all the time.
Survives the movie.
Something could go in your eye at any point.
Does survive the movie.
Yeah, but I'm just, I was worried for it in that scene. That was the only bit of jeopardy in the whole movie.
You were terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fairly rounded idea here.
Uh-huh.
Just make the first robot better.
Yep, that's exactly what I've got down.
Yeah.
Make the first robot better. Yeah. I mean, step one, have some sort of emergency shut off.
Yeah.
that you can activate at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Like, imagine working on something for years and years, and then the first early build of it, they just go, no, what we're going to do is like shove the battered remains of someone into a machine.
And use
that's
that
it.
instead.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Because
crazy.
What I don't get about it, right? And we've gone over it a little bit earlier on, but Robocop doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It does not make any sense.
Because all the thinking is done for him anyway.
Yeah.
Why do you need the biological part of it?
Yeah, you don't at all. It's going to cost you a fortune in paste, like biological paste.
Yeah.
And
how does he poo?
It doesn't need to, I guess. I don't know.
He's so efficient.
Does he have a digestive tract?
Look,
I thought it was just like his face and it's just his head, right? Pretty much. Like it's there's nothing.
Not particularly.
I know this isn't canon, but I looked up a few bits of the Robocop remake today for the basis of comparison, and in that he is literally a head and some lungs.
Okay.
And like the basically a brain in a jar with a face and 2 lungs to circulate blood, and that's it. And like, if that's what the Robocop in this version is, then why are they giving him like paste to eat anyway? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
He could just have a drip.
Yeah.
Why does he have to eat? You're supposed to be designing. You're supposed to be designing the pinnacle of human modification with technology.
Yeah.
And you're going, well, we need some way to get the paste into him. So
let's put a mouth on him.
Yeah, like keep it. Why? It's just nonsensical. Absolutely nonsensical. Just use the robot that you've got, which does work. Maybe adapt it so it can go downstairs, because criminals, they're quite wily. They'll get wise to that.
Yeah,
they'll be running up and downstairs like nobody's business, like it's going out of fashion.
Yeah,
and yeah, one other thing, and this is like a tangent with designing robots. Why do they make it so that the big robot that falls down the stairs like screams when it's lying on its back
like an animal?
Like an animal, yeah. Makes no sense at all. It's quite intimidating.
Yeah,
a bit scary. Doesn't make any sense.
I guess that's why maybe. Stop! Like,
stop people coming over to it.
Yeah. It is embarrassing. The whole thing is just like doesn't make an iota of sense.
Yeah, and also like the human parts are the valuable parts.
The $6 million man, right?
Right.
Steve Austin, right?
Yeah.
I think he's a pilot. He's in a crash.
Yeah.
And they're like, we have the technology, we can rebuild it.
Yeah.
That's the opening of $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
Now, they're not saying we need to make a $6 million robot. Let's get some biological parts off a dead body.
No.
They're saying, let's save this man because he's exceptional already, and we'll keep him alive.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of this.
Yeah. They want any man, don't they?
Yeah.
Like when it starts,
it's not like the last one we put in there was a builder and he just wants to build things.
Robo build.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robo plumber.
Yeah.
Sure. There's a reference to that, isn't there? We're not plumbers. We can't just go on strike.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can. You absolutely can. And that's a message to all of you out there in Listerland.
Unionize.
Yes, please do. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, one final survival tip for Dick. What's his name? Dick Jones.
Right, the head of the vice president. of the
Vice
company.
president, the baddie, the big bad.
Yeah.
Don't send a recorded video confession to the person you're about to have killed.
Yeah. How did Well, no, it's well, that's not what gets played back later though.
Right, it's him confessing to Robocop.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. And he already knows that Robocop is recording everything because he says as much to Bedecker.
Yeah.
So maybe the point should be don't confess to anyone.
Yeah.
Don't confess to the one individual in the world who you know specifically to be recording every encounter.
Yeah.
At all times.
It's mad. It's the thing is, right? As soon as you tell someone a secret, it's not a secret anymore.
Yeah.
And that goes especially for a robot that you programmed to record things specifically to report them.
Yeah, here's a thought that I've just remembered that I'm sure you will have shared. Why do his arms get really long when he falls out the window?
What?
Dick Jones.
Because it's CGI.
It's not even. I think it's like
Stop motion,
claymation or something. It looks like
really weird.
It's very strange.
Like
It looks like something out of a kids' TV show.
yeah, Hitchcock managed it with other movies.
Yeah,
and it looks okay.
yeah.
It's not great, but it's okay.
No, yeah.
Possible.
Remember in Psycho when the guy falls down the stairs, and it's like him just going like, oh, and like the camera just like walking down the stairs.
Yeah, that's true. And Vertigo is what I meant.
Yeah,
You need to show it. Just show him go out the window.
yeah.
We can
Imagine.
assume what happened
Yeah,
after that.
it's
Show him
not-
landing.
Maybe they did it, and then they're like, "Well, we've already paid the plasticine modeler."
Those arms are a bit long. No. When you fall out the window, your arms
Do
go
you think it's
really
supposed to be
long.
like perspective? Like the hands are really close to the
right?
camera.
Really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's
Very
a weird
strange.
film. Done. Next week, another weird film.
I mean, no other podcast is having that as the final word on Robocop, and I think that's what we offer as a unique selling point.
Yeah. What? Just like it's not even a nitpick worth
Fucking
making.
nonsense. Yeah.
So there you have it. Robocop. How did you find that overall?
Yeah, it was good. I'm looking forward to next week.
Upgrade?
Which is Upgrade. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lee Winnell. It's got recent release, but it will be available, I'm sure, on.
It's on. I think it might be on Now TV. Mate.
Well, there you go.
I don't know that for sure. It's on Sky. So.
Mhm. Well, all the usual places. I'm sure it will be on one of them or more of them. Who knows?
Yeah.
Upgrade next week.
What does he have? A chip put in him? Something like that.
You have to find out.
So that's that. No emails this week, mate, because
Did them all last week, didn't we?
did them all last
Yeah.
week.
So do get in touch with your thoughts on Robocop or Evil Dead 2 or any of the films that we've covered or any of the films that you'd like us to cover. That's HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com. @HowToSurvivePod is the Twitter handle.
leave us a 5-star review too on
Yes.
whatever you listen. If you're listening to us, it means you have a podcatcher of choice
Yes.
and you can review us on it. So do that, or else,
Yeah.
or we will blow your limbs off, shoot you in the head, and turn you into our Robo podcast listener.
Yes. Thank you very much for listening. And until next week, you're coming with me, How to Survive.
What?
It's his catchphrase, isn't it? You're coming with me, dead or alive. And what I did, Joe, very cleverly, was I changed it to the name of the podcast because that's what rhymes with what he said. Listen, mate, you got a better ending. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So the How to Survive podcast. I'd buy that for $1.
Great. I'm going to leave that in real time.